Welcome to The Rundown, everybody. Jason Rubin here, joined by J.R. Jackson and Victor Chi. So the headline reads, track star Nick Simmons left off the U.S. team for refusing to wear Nike. Now, interesting story here because he is a fantastic runner who has placed in many events for USA Track and Field. 31-year-old, almost a veteran at that point when it comes to your running career, as some pictures can scroll by for you. Left off the team because he would not sign the contract that states that you have to wear Nike, as Victor just corrected me before, except for your shoes, eyewear, or watches, I believe.
During the competition.
During the competition. So he's sponsored by Brooks, another running company, and interestingly enough, Nike can use all of this for promotional value if they wanted to. If Simmons or any other athlete sponsored by any other companies besides Nike get a great shot of, a different runner on the team, maybe even, up-and-coming runners, whatever it might be, in a Nike top, and they want to promote the hell out of that, even though that runner is sponsored by Asics or Brooks. Tough.
This is what's frustrating a lot of times with athletes and getting their endorsements. That's a huge percentage of your career. You did this, of course, you need to get paid to do it. It's your professional. And a lot of times, we come down on the athlete for signing greedy because we're thinking football, baseball, basketball. Like, look at these hundreds of millions of dollars these guys are getting from Nike for some sneakers, right? But we overlook a lot of times also track athletes. And I would like to defend all the other ones too who do get their hundreds of millions of dollars. The companies that are the teams, the organizations, the leagues, the corporations, as you said earlier, they're not being taken down for making their billions of dollars. So for people to focus on their money and what they should be getting paid after they sign a contract, I don't see any problem with. Now, there was a caveat with this. The USA Track and Field look is the same look. You don't want one guy on the entire team wearing purple when everyone else is wearing red, white, and blue, So,
right.
So that, I can see that aspect, and I don't know where that could be worked out in a way.
Well, it could be the line is drawn between game day competition, you're in the stadium, obviously you have to look like a team, but if you go on your own time, you do a promotional appearance somewhere at a mall or something like that, then you're not with the rest of the team. You're on your own, you're doing some sort of promotional segment, then maybe you shouldn't be required to wear the one that you're not being paid to wear.
Right.
Yeah. So Nick Simmons had some interesting words to say, and so did Lolo Jones. So let's start with Nick Simmons. 2 years worth of work to try to win another medal for my country are now down the drain. Is it frustrating? Of course, but no part of me regrets doing this. Nick Simmons went on to say that he's standing up for this decision, for the athlete rights in this case. And the only issue I have with this, and it's just the truth, no one knows who Nick Simmons is.
They do now.
Now they will. They'll get some circulation through some headlines, but it's not the same as Richard Sherman and Doug Baldwin standing up for Marshawn Lynch, who are just more premier athletic personalities in the United States and in the world. So,
well, I think that just may be a product of track and field not being on the same footing as the so-called Big Four sports.
Right.
So I think this is actually a very calculated move that this is not the Olympics, that's a year away. He's planting the seed now to create this heading into the Olympic year, and maybe something will be done then. If he does it before the Olympics, then he misses his own opportunity. So from his point of view, the World Championship is obviously a huge event, but the Olympics on a global scale is that much bigger.
Of course. It's one of the only global, I mean, in terms of global events, it's one of the only sporting events that will trump, at least in the United States viewership speaking, not the world viewership speaking, will trump everything that's going on during the summer, baseball, basketball, football. Doesn't matter what it is, the Olympics is going to get watched.
So even more so, because of the smaller window a lot of Olympic athletes have, you have again, we're going to talk about the percentages that you get from these. Because of that, you'll get into details, but because of that, there should be even more of a leeway to allow people to get what they can, because it's already tilted away from them in the first place, because of course you're not in the Big Four sports.
Right. But I wonder if this is going to work, because I think a lot of these athletes are going to look at this and go like, wow, it's a great thing that you're standing up for, these athletic rights, and of course this breakdown of like, oh, it's not good. It's not right that Nike can just go out and use you as an endorsed person without giving you any chunk of change for it, or at least the right percentage chunk of change, which I'll get to in just a second. But there's also that part of me that thinks you have such a small window, as you mentioned, for the Olympics. Are you really going to throw away 4 years of training because your ego is a little bit big enough to think that I don't want to be wearing a Nike branded thing when I'm sponsored by Brooks? Like, at the end of it, are you like he's taking himself out of the IAAF competition, which is a big deal in track and field standards, but it's not the Olympics. Would he do this for the Olympics? Would you do it for the Olympics?
That's a good question. It might be the point in his career if he's at a stage where he thinks, this is my last Olympics, maybe I don't want to give it up. If he thinks he can get back 4 years from now and instigate some change in the meantime, I think that all factors into his thinking. And clearly a lot of thinking has gone into this. I don't think this just is done on a whim. It's like, I'm just going to tweak these guys and screw them over before the World Championships. I think he has kind of a grand plan on how this works, the timetable leading into the Olympics, and maximize the value.
And I give the guy a lot of credit. I think this is a really interesting move. I just don't know how much it's going to work. But to the percentages that JR was alluding to before, in the NFL, you get 45% of the sponsorships branded to them. For example, Bose headphones, 45% of that money gets thrown basically back into the salary cap, which in return, beefier contracts for players, so the players reap some sort of benefit from that. The Nike gives about $20 million a year annually to sponsor the USA track and field, and these track and field athletes get roughly 8% or $2.46 million. So of course, another issue with this is no, it's not the NFL. They're not reporting billions of dollars annually, so there's not as much room for sponsorship opportunity until the Olympics, which I'm sure all these numbers, boom, blow up. But I'm also wondering if I could sit here and interview Nick Simmons, I would say, like, if you were getting 45% of the cut, would that change your mind? Does it have to do with money, or is it just a matter of being used by Nike? And the interesting point of that, too, comes from the NFL, as we can discuss really quick. Richard Sherman and Doug Baldwin, with the Doug Baldwin cardboard cutout, defending Marshawn Lynch, in part for wearing headphones, also defending Colin Kaepernick for wearing the Pink Beats headphones for Breast Cancer Awareness Week.
You know, the other day, Marshawn Lynch got fined $100,000. Did you know that? $100,000. And it's like, they wouldn't even pay him $100,000 if he had talked. If he had spoken. Do you think they would have paid him $100,000?
No, they sure wouldn't have.
Jeez Louise. But you know who does pay me a lot of money? Beats by Dre, the wonderful headphones that I wear.
I like those headphones.
But the league doesn't let me say anything about them. Doug, why is that?
I don't know. It sounds kind of hypocritical to me.
No, it sounds a little bit hypocritical. It seems like we're in a league where they say, players, you know, you don't endorse any alcohol. Please don't endorse alcohol. No DUIs, please. But yet, a beer sponsor is their biggest sponsor. Doug, how do you feel about that?
Oh, like I said, it sounds very hypocritical.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
So, in addition to all this, LSU phenom and non-Olympic gold medal winner, hopefully in due time, Lolo Jones also chimed in on Nick Simmons in regards to the sponsorships, Nike, Brooks, all of it. Let's have a look at her quote. I'm happy to wear the team outfit during competition, but they have to relax their rules with our practices and allow us to wear what we are used to wearing. They have to stop bullying us about wearing the outfit from the minute we leave the hotel and in all of our pictures on social media. So of course social media is going to have a major effect on this when you get a picture of Lolo Jones wearing, oh no, an Adidas hat. Is she sponsored by someone else? Maybe she just likes the hat. But it's interesting that Lolo Jones came out and said this because it's now affecting practices. It's one thing if it's the event. It's the Olympic 100-meter gold medal event. Everyone's eyes are on the fastest man on the planet. For whatever reason, they think that's 100 meters long. Never understood that. But all eyes are there. We want to make sure our Nike swoosh is visible. And if you're in a different country, whatever you're sponsored by, that makes sense. But practice?
This level of control is out. It's ironically out of control.
Talk about practice.
It doesn't make any sense. So, okay, and of course, as I think we mentioned the shoes and eyewear and wrist wear you can still wear. But it seems like the way Lolo Jones is talking is not even then can you really wear. These are very minute details that each of these well-tuned athletes has to prepare for. And if you're not wearing the things you're used to, as she said, it's a whole different feel. It's like wearing, it's like wearing an extra weight on your arm or leg or something. It's a different feel. You're used to having a fine-tuned, like you're in a rotation. You're in the same routine every day. And if you're wearing something different, it feels completely different.
Yeah, and just from a practical standpoint, you're traveling to all ththese competitions, this city to that city. You want to pack two things, like the official thing and the thing you want to wear.
Yeah.
You're supposed to travel light.
Yeah. Right, and Jared, as you mentioned, and as Vic mentioned too, it's like, I know you ran track at USC. My track and cross-country career ended at high school. So I was not on JR's USC track level, but there is certain extent to it. Like, yeah, I'd put on my right sock before my left sock. And anything different, I had specific socks for running, which some people think are crazy. but I'm sure you had your ways. You tie your shoes a certain way, but you can't wear those laces because they're not Nike laces.
Yeah, and some laces are different. I'm telling you, these are very small things, but they're big in the grand scheme. And when it even goes to the social media part, it's frustrating. Did Nike or whoever build their social media following? No, they did.
No.
I feel like those types of things, yes, it's another avenue for aspect, but you didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
Right.
great point, too, about the athletes who cultivate their own social media following, and some of them are in the millions. And that gets back to the whole labor versus management argument in sports. And it's the old thing that sports is so unique, where it's the one part of the economy where the athletes, they are both labor and the product. And that's what makes them unique. Is you can't make some of the other comparisons to, guys working in the factory or on the assembly line. Like, they're the labor, but they're not actually the product.
Right.
And these guys are.
Right. Fantastic points. So that's not all on Nick Simmons. We have even more. Vic, the beer mile.
This is one of the reasons why I think he is kind of a broad thinker. Here's a guy who's an Olympic caliber runner, but he took the time to research and run the beer mile, which is downing one 12-ounce beer for each lap, 4 laps around the track. And at one point, he held the world record in the beer mile. So here's a guy who thinks a little bit outside the box.
Right.
And you can certainly respect.
But the real question here is, how does Budweiser feel as the beer mile sponsor when they're drinking Coors?
It is exactly what I was thinking. I was like, okay, so which beer company got their sponsorship in this and got their hand in? And it also, one's wearing Brooks, one guy's wearing Nike, and one's wearing Adidas. Does Adidas want to be associated with beer?
Right, of course. The sponsorship circle just keeps going, never stops turning. I would like to see
your point. What are you comfortable, wearing? Like, what are you comfortable drinking?
Totally.
If you practice every day on Coors Light and you show up at the event and the official beer is Guinness, you could be in serious trouble.
I want to see the Guinness beer mile and see how much slower they run. Or at least the hard alcohol beer mile, whatever you want to call it.
Or you could do like a relay. First lap is Coors Light. Second leg is Guinness. Third lap is something else, Sam Adams.
The worst part about it is that
like a decathlon.
Knowing America,
you gotta get thicker.
Knowing how we work here, there's going to be beer Ironmans. And there's going to be 26.2 mile marathon races. Or it's the beer marathon. He set the record, 2 hours, 18 minutes.
Since we're all not athletes anymore, we'll just do we'll do within TYT Sports, just the 100-meter. We'll see the fastest man on earth with a beer.
Well, you have to
chug it while you run. Yes.
While you run? That's really tough.
Backwards.
I can barely drink water and stand at the same time. Let's go with running over 100 meters. I think we'll add hurdles to make it a little more difficult on J.R. Jackson.
Thank you.
There we go. Maybe make it easier because you ran it.
Make it
Regardless, click on JR to subscribe to the TYT Sports. Click on Vic to subscribe to the post game. All your thoughts and comments regarding everything Nick Simmons related. Seriously, there's a lot about it. Lolo Jones. We had the beer mile. Lots to talk about. Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll see you next time.